No music. No music. We can live without the music.
There's a disclaimer.
Oh, there's a disclaimer. Okay. The opinions of the host, guest, and any callers and anyone whose comments are not a representative of the opinion of Mr. Singer's employer or anyone associated with Gloves Off. So there's the disclaimer today. Welcome to Gloves Off with Singer. We're sorry we missed the opening music, but you know, stuff happens when you go live. Today, I'd like to welcome Gene Flynn, but before we get to Gene, I would like to discuss the fact that I will be moving to a new location, secret location.
More of a lair.
Yeah, lair, starting next week, due to the fact that I'm getting threatening and my office is getting threatening emails from a council person at Palmetto Bay who continues to threaten me and threaten my employer because, unfortunately, I tell the truth and the village of Palmetto Bay tends not to. So they're trying to shut me up once again by threatening to sue everybody, which we will handle in court. But I cannot tell anybody where I'll be going because my new studio, I don't want them getting emails or any texts from this one individual council member who has apparently serious issues.
Oh, come on. It's a box behind Peacock Park.
Yeah, this is the council member, by the way, that was supported by the mayor in his run, and who will deal with this in a court of law. A lawsuit's being filed next week against him and the village of Palmetto Bay. We can just add another lawsuit onto the list of lawsuits that are occurring in Palmetto Bay.
I hear there's room under the 87th Avenue Bridge for you to broadcast.
No, actually, it's a really nice studio. It's a very nice.
Say it's a really nice. spot
No, it's a very nice spot. So, the good thing, the good thing is that I won't be broadcasting from my office anymore. So I will be totally unfiltered and can really let out the truth. Not that I haven't told the truth before, but I will be unfiltered.
We all would love to see you unfiltered.
I am definitely going to be unfiltered starting next week. I'll let everybody know how the litigation goes, and I'm going to be sharing some of the emails that he's written to my office next week. Actually, I'll probably read them verbatim so everybody knows what's going on and the threats that he's made to my employer.
Cool. Thanks. Speaking of lawsuits, I was a little distracted here because I just got another settlement in on 2 different cases. So, I like to work and talk and multitask and do all these things.
Let's talk about
good
lawsuits.
To have lawsuits where you settle and you get money in. And
instead of paying money,
happy and
instead of making money.
It's a great business. A lot of this is first party insurance stuff.
So let's talk about the potential bankruptcy of Palmetto Bay. Let's talk about the lawsuits that
hasn't really happened though. Not since like Orange County, California.
Well, I think
has any already talked about.
No, I think City of Miami was having problems at one point.
Yeah, the question is,
and the state of Florida took them over. If you remember, they were having
serious. Was having some issues.
Yeah, correct.
There was
and we can add Palmetto Bay. We can probably add Palmetto Bay to that list.
Well, it's kind of a shame. We kind of seem to be in cycles again. Because remember, just when I was leaving office in 2010. Due to term limits at that time, we had the Palmer Trinity issues. And
correct.
And then you'll remember and how those kind of bloomed up in the years I was out of office from 2011 to 2015, basically. I think you had a few things to say about it back then, but you didn't have a show like this one.
Yeah, it's too bad, right? I should have had a show back then because Palmer Trinity was a disaster, and Palmetto Bay paid $1 million in attorney's fees, as I recall, and I think they gave a settlement to Palmer of $500,000, and it was all for political purposes, kind of like the same thing that's being driven in Palmetto Bay right now.
Well, the important thing was that all the so-called covenants and everything that were put on there were, well, I don't want to say all of them, but most of them were thrown out the window while I was out of office. And they walked. By the way, Palmer ended up with more than they actually originally asked for. Yep, that wasn't while I was in office.
No,
I
but
came in afterwards, and when I came back, I remember walking door to door during that campaign and people saying, we've had enough of this litigation. What are you going to do? And I said, well, we need to settle it. And a lot of times what happens is just sitting down and talking and trying to find that common ground. As you know, I am an attorney by trade. I hold a license. I do a significant amount of mediation.
Unlike the person who's threatening me on a constant basis, right?
Let's stick to the positive side.
The positive side.
Stick to the positive side because, again, I've most of my cases, it's funny. Before mediation got started, everybody settled on the courthouse steps or settle at trial. Now you've got mediation. I just had one the other day with the mediator knocking at our door behind us, and we settled before. Nobody, we're able to. If you know your case, if you've got everything set up right, if you've done your work, you should be able to get things settled.
You're correct.
Attorneys.
Everybody walks away thinking that they left a little on the table.
Right.
Right.
Now,
that's the way it works.
They say from a mediation or a lawsuit, the best results are ones where everybody's a little bit disappointed because, again, the thought that that government is going to run people over is, first of all, horrifying to think that anybody in government would have that kind of opinion, and they think that they're just going to use the people's money
and that's the problem.
Drag out and fight, and we're finding out that's not the case. This is not the Florida of the 60s or 70s. This is the Florida now where, they just recently enacted a new law where they said if government interferes with your business more than, 15%, which is not a big threshold, you can sue the government for damages. Whether that will actually materialize, we'll see. But, Tallahassee's really taken over a lot of things. And when local governments misbehave, they just, they don't even run to the court half the time. They run to Tallahassee. And you've seen some of the things that we're just starting to see now, but it's been very kept quiet within the local government. They recently enacted a law 2 years ago at this point to where you can basically operate a business out of your home.
But let's go to
my point is just to say that we've continued to be stripped of our local control because of bad actors. If you don't play right, they're going to change the rules. Correct.
And the problem with Palmetto Bay is it's not the village of parks anymore. It's a village of litigation. And it's triple-fold the amount of litigation. We just went through a couple of them right now. Palmetto Bay Village Center is suing the village of Palmetto Bay for $40 million. Luxcom suing the village of Palmetto Bay for $20 million. The bridge issue, Dade County, I think, is suing Palmetto Bay, or Palmetto Bay is suing Dade County. And that's going to be probably, they're going to have to pay attorney's fees. There's the traffic circle. That's litigation off 68th or whatever, not 168th. What's the 178th? There's a traffic circle. Circle 174th. Okay, that's in litigation. There's any litigation right now that the council has not gotten involved in. And by the way, I just got an email today, and I'm going to check it before the next show. There's an article that actually a good article from the community newspapers, which I'm shocked they actually wrote because it's anti Palmetto Bay. That Palmetto Bay's already spent $750,000 on Luxcom's litigation, and that literally the litigation hasn't even started yet. Tell us about Luxcom, because everybody thought that Luxcom was going to go away. And the other day, they tried to get Palmetto Bay tried to get it dismissed, and it fell short. So explain it to everybody watching what exactly occurred and what could potentially happen.
Well, I think everybody should go to my blog. First of all, I've posted on there the actual transcript because not everybody can get and find the public court docket. So I took that out, I put it up on my drive, and I have it there where everybody can download it and read it. Because you've really got to take a look at it. Because sometimes, I know you're looking at something, you can't see the gestures, you can't see the, what the eyes are telling you, but it's not a poker game. Quite frankly, I'm really surprised at the Luxcom thing because this was all brewing a very long time ago. I remember talking to Dexter. This should be a very defensible case. I mean, government has a right to set its zoning code, and we've heard a lot of seen a lot of finger pointing, and heard a lot of the blame game, pointing at whether things were noticed properly, and and how things were done procedurally. Is this spot zoning? it's just kind of a
Well, it's
shame
a,
how
okay.
this
So
thing is going. No one wants to take
yeah, but let's talk
responsibility
about
for it.
Bert. Okay, first let's
Bert J. Harris.
Bert J.
Okay,
Harris. Let's educate
talk about
everybody on Bert J. Harris, because I think that's of vital importance that our community knows what Bert J. Harris is and what the damages that could be brought, which is once again $20 million. Okay, which will bankrupt the village of Palmetto Bay, by the way.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if they've got the insurance to cover.
Well, they
all
won't
this
have the
as
insurance
well.
because you can't. The insurance companies will not. They will defend it, but they don't have to come up with $20 million. They don't have to come up with a judgment. Okay, they'll defend, but the judgment is all on the village, from what I understand.
Well, it's an interesting take, and getting back to it, Bert J. Harris, there's a 150-day cooling off period that happened a very long time ago in this village. I think about 2 years ago at this point. They tender their Bert J. Harris is 150 days. The village has an opportunity to tender an offer, a bona fide offer. They're supposed to trade appraisals. Of course, for the village, you do appraisal. That's a double-edged sword, because if you do an appraisal and it comes out and it really hurts you, you've just
but you're not dumbing it down enough.
Necessarily do that.
Okay, so Bert J.
What
Harris.
you're saying is you don't understand.
Yeah, no,
But
I
think a
understand
lot of
all
people
that.
out there-
I understand all that. But Bert J. Harris basically denies the opportunity for somebody who owns land to build or develop.
Bert J. Harris is
Thank
again
you.
Tallahassee
Yeah.
passing a law that says government shall not unreasonably interfere in the rights of a property owner.
Correct. Whether it's a developer or a individual
Because
homestead.
I think the big lie that's been perpetuated in recent history here in Palmetto Bay, and certain candidates that I fell victim to set the expectation that development only happens when the government allows it. And that's not true. Every piece of property has a bundle of property rights. And that was explained very eloquently by the mayor of Cutler Bay, who kind of took a shot at the village when he said, we're not facing any $20 million lawsuits like people to the north.
Oh, I forgot that clip. Yeah, there's a great clip of.
I don't know exactly what he said, but it kind of was a little bit.
No, he basically said that Palmetto Bay doesn't know what they're doing. Okay. I'm paraphrasing. Palmetto Bay doesn't know what they're doing, and we're not going to get in the same position as Palmetto Bay by exposing us to $20 million or litigation, okay, because they're playing politics. That's basically what he said.
Well,
I mean, you saw the clip. I mean, anybody can find it.
He did differentiate
Yeah.
between himself and their government and the neighbors to the north. It's very disconcerting that you can see if he's saying it, other people are talking about it, and that's probably the developing reputation of the village. I don't know where the source is. Is the village refusing to take the hard stance and really fight these things on a unified battle? Were they getting cold feet and trying to go back and redo it and avoid it and just muddying up the water more? Are they unwilling to vote per the law? Are they not getting good legal advice? Or I'm starting to think whether they're just not following the legal advice.
Okay, I don't think it has anything to do with following the legal advice. I think, in my personal opinion, the village attorney is doing, instead of sitting there and saying, I represent the residents and I want to make sure residents are safe, okay, he is playing politics and involved with the commission or the council and doing what the council's telling him, even though there's a really gray area where he shouldn't be doing that. That's my opinion of working with him. I think he's more scared about his employment than he is about doing what's right for the residents and residents of Palmetto Bay. That's my take.
Well, I'd love to be a fly on the wall because, the Palmetto Bay Village Center is, how many times has it had a hearing under the current administration? At least 3 times. It's been deferred numerous times, and then they had the MOU issue and whether it could go through administratively.
Now, once again, Palmetto Bay Village Center, because I want to keep harping on the amount of money that Palmetto Bay has a chance of paying out if they lose these lawsuits, because there's people out there, residents out there that say, oh, anybody can sue anybody. And for the most part, that is true. But usually when you get to the point where you go to a summary judgment hearing, okay, the judge looks at it and goes, this lawsuit has no merit. Okay, so I know Luxcom's the judge has already denied that at the hearing. I think Palmetto Bay Village Center, I'm pretty sure that the judge has denied that. Okay, so Palmetto Bay Village Center is looking for 40 million. Okay, Luxcom once again is looking for 20 million. That's $60 million of potential liability for the residents of Palmetto Bay. And there, I always said, you never know what's going to happen in court. It's up to you never know. So you could, your exposure could be $1 million. Your exposure could be $60 million. And it comes out of the residents' pockets. And right now, we don't have that money in the bank. If we get hit with a settlement, or not a settlement, a judgment, to pay any of that money. So it's either going to have to come from the residents, or it's going to have to come from the residents.
Well, the problem is when it's in the court's hands, it's out of yours. And that's where it is now. And we know something is going to be developed at each of these properties. We wish they weren't. But again, remember, back when I first came in office, and I know you hate to discuss it, but it's important to give that institutional background to this. I tried to get in the Environmental Endangered Lands Program to buy those 22 acres.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't have all the votes. There were some people that actually wanted to see development go in there and not buy it. Some people just don't have a nose, don't have a concern for the environment, and that's really a shame. But it's great property in there. It got put on the A list, which means it was environmentally sensitive land. And we actually worked with Julio Rabina, our state representative at the time, even Scott Silver were working on to where our cut to buy that would have been about $1.8 million.
And we also could have gotten money to buy it, right? There was a grant.
Eels on the
eel grant
on the B list.
Yeah, on the B list. Okay,
not the A list. The B list. Basically, the county Eels buys half of it, and the municipality or the group buys the other half. But we were working out to where we're going to get a grant to pay for 25% of it. Therefore, we would have paid 50 cents on the dollar of our share, if not even gotten that gifted back to us from the Palmetto Bay Village Center. Because make no mistake about it, one of the things that's thrown out at me in why we shouldn't take this land is because Palmetto Bay Village Center doesn't want it. Of course they don't. They don't, because we want to preserve it. We'll do a better job preserving it. We'll be able to get grants for it that they're not able to. And it would be a win-win situation. The best way to stop a piece of property from being developed is to take it out of private developer hands and put it into the public trust.
And once again, that's what the town of Cutler Bay has done. They have the progressive thoughts to sit there, and they don't want development on certain lands. They've gone out and gotten a bond. I believe they got in a bond and bought lands so it can't be developed, and it's green space.
Well, and I worked with them back early on. I remember going down there with Paul Vrooman and Katie Sorensen, our commissioner at the time, a lot of the local activists there, to work on saving and getting the South Florida Water Management to buy the 27 acres. And he bought everything but the 9 acres, which unfortunately was the developable upland portion of it. But that got resolved in the last year or two, again, through EELS and other grants. So I really applaud Cutler Bay. But, Palmetto Bay, if you don't want it developed, if you want the 85 units to go away, buy it. That I've had, what's his name? Losner from down in Homestead, his father, the longtime banker, says, if you don't want to see land developed, then buy it. You just can't lord over somebody and make them hold the property for your wishes. This is not a benevolent monopoly.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe Putin can get away with it.
My attitude really on life is you can never have too much green space. You can never have too many parks, and you can never have, and even though I'm in a business, Miami is lacking a lot of green space. And if you look at everything, it's just building, traffic. And we really somebody should have had the forethought to buy a lot more green space for a lot more parks. And if you go to other areas around the country, or even Fort Lauderdale, you'll see a lot more green space per
Excuse me,
average.
David, we did that in Palmetto Bay, and there was a period of time where we were very progressive on doing that. Originally on, we did not miss opportunities. When the Celestia de la Moore property became available, we got it through the Environmental Crimes Division. We took that land where they had damaged the mangroves and everything. That's where we have Ludovici Park for.
Mhm.
How much did that cost? $300,000, which was paid by the Ludovicis as a donation. So that was all that acreage of money for usable area where the library sits today, which is very well used, where the amphitheater
Mhm.
is, where we used to have great events like the Battle of the Bands or the Irish American Day that one year we had it, different things. All that's available now because we didn't let that go to developers. Thalon is another one.
Mhm.
You know, we got in there and it was unfortunately owned by somebody who, it was one of the few places where they had that big banner, no way Palmetto Bay, and Fallen Corporation, because there were relatives that were in Kings Bay that thought they were going to be forever foreclosed from going to Coral Gables. We took that land and got it through, again, original bridge loan through the Trust for Public Lands and then the Florida Communities Trust. I think you've had a few conversations with them about
Lots of them.
Pilatus.
Yep.
But, you know, there was another acreage. So, you know, you look at those two pieces of property that sit right between Old Cutler Road and Biscayne Bay, David. We took them off the market and protected them from further development, or did we not?
No, I think it's a great idea,
The
but now,
22
but this is
acres
what's going on now.
piece that's absolutely
Okay,
needed.
but
there's 80 acres at the Palmetto
Listen,
Bay
I brought
Village
it up. I
Center.
brought it up when I was in office in the last couple of months that we should buy those 22 acres, and I was shut down. I was shut down by the village attorney, and I was shut down by the council.
Because it's too good a political football to play
That's right.
with. And the people that own it now don't. It's obvious they don't know
You,
what.
you know what they're doing with the money, though? You know what they're doing with the money? Instead of buying green space, they're sitting there using it on PR to make the council and the mayor look better. Do you have any clue to every time you look, okay, at Facebook or give me some other ones, Twitter or something, you see the council or you see the mayor with a smiling face with her hand around somebody's shoulder or something? That's not where our money should be going. Our money, the taxpayers' dollars, should not be going to do PR for the council or the mayor. Okay, our money should be going to green space and making Palmetto Bay a better place. It should be improving our parks, which, by the way, our parks look like dog crap right now.
Well,
okay?
we've gotten sued. The village has
Okay.
gotten sued because of the condition of it. You got to wonder, is Coral Reef Park being overused right now for the weekend, what they call the old
flea market
festival?
The flea market.
You know, and even then, I drove by the other day and there were cones out there in the middle. I mean, that thing has really been worn, and it's really not this. You know, it's just
you can go.
very sad.
You know what's so sad is you can repeat this over and over and over, and you can't. You actually can't repeat it enough because nothing's being done to change the attitude of the administration in Palmetto Bay. Palmetto Bay is not being run appropriately. If you like it, let me tell you, if you like you like selfies, and you like, what else? You like emails and you like proclamations, then you should vote for the current mayor. But if you're tired of that, if you're absolutely tired of that, and you're tired of what's going on in Palmetto Bay with them not, taking care of the flooding on the streets, and they're not taking care of the parks, and they're not taking care of the green spaces, and they have all this litigation, then you got to get this administration gone. You have to vote this administration out of there. You have to.
I just really wish, you go back and you look at the strategic plan they passed in 2019, and they all have their name. The people in office, the current mayor and the council at the time, and your name is on that strategic plan. Go back and really break it down. What have they accomplished on that strategic plan? Surprisingly enough, one of the items on the strategic plan was completion of Park Road. Have you been out and see that Park Road by Palmetto Bay Park?
No.
I mean,
it's not completed.
A road to nowhere.
It's a road to, I know that. Yeah.
Nowhere. And I don't even know why they did that. Go back and look.
And by the way, they took away green space. Once again, they took away green space for a road that goes nowhere. Okay. Absolutely. They took away park space.
And one of the things, I'm trying to keep a straight face through this. One of the things that Ed Silva, the manager at the time, and I worked very hard on with our then commissioner, now mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, was to get a $10 million grant. Well, you might know the exact figure of that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, let's not discuss that.
I want to thank you for that grant. I mean, that's, but we were the first government.
You should thank me for that grant.
Yeah, we were the first government that dipped into that go bond. And got money. We got money for Franjo Road. So my point is, we got the money. A lot of that wasn't completed. The questions I have about that is there was some conversation at some point, and I hope somebody will provide the facts at some point. about whether or not there was some sort of settlement or adjustment with the contractor over some of the changes, maybe some things?
No, they actually paid the contractor. They changed orders, and I believe, from my understanding, from what I was told, they actually paid. If anybody doesn't know what a change order is, it's basically extra expenses that occurred during the construction over and above your contract price. They actually had to pay more than more to the contractor than the actual contract. Yeah, the actual contract that was signed.
Yeah, well, I think, here's what you really need to do. People should go, and anybody wants it, I'll pull the information from them. Let's print out what the original scope of the work was, what our former manager, Ron Williams, would call the deliverables. Yeah. And take a look at those deliverables and just start walking down Franjo and start to see what's not there.
Oh, no, it's terrible. And I've walked with residents. I walked with a couple of residents who are very active in Palmetto Bay politics.
We worked very hard on that.
And Franjo Road is not what they were told.
Supposed to be a signature road.
Yeah. And it's not what they were told would occur on Franjo Road. And unfortunately, the administration let the contractor get away with not delivering what they were supposed to deliver. Another screw up.
Well, in my opinion, the manager at that point, Ed Silva, really got hurt. Yeah. They took it out of his hands. At that point, in my opinion, the mayor took it over. Yeah, that's what happened.
You have somebody who has no earthly clue, okay, to anything about construction, and she decides to take over, to sit there and do the site visits and stuff like that and talk to the contractor.
So at the bottom line now, go back and look at what the anticipated deliverables, what the plans for that street were, and go back and walk that street and see what we ended up with, and ask yourself, was that 10 million spent wisely?
No, it's awful. It's awful. As a matter of fact, I'd like to go and take my thing is,
that would be a good remote. I would love to get out of that box from behind Peacock.
There's a couple of things. I'd like to do a remote from the parks to walk around the parks and show everybody what disarray the parks are in. Okay. And number two is walk around Franjo Road and show what kind of disarray Franjo Road's in, because both of those are in need of some loving care and attention, which once again, the village is not doing. The administration is not doing what they were hired to do, and the council and the mayor are not doing what they were elected to do for the village of Palmetto Bay.
It's amazing, some of the things that do go right, because again, it's a matter of vision, and this is not a visionary government. It's a reactive government. It's a spiteful government, in my opinion, whether they're stripping people of insurance rights or whatever. But going back to things, I didn't finish on Coral Reef Park, because if it wasn't for the bonds they had back then, and can you imagine if we were incorporated back then, if we didn't have visionary leadership at the time, that could have gone and been homes all around Coral Reef Elementary. Thank goodness and homes would have been nice for the space, I guess.
Nah, those parks came in. I lived 2 blocks away off 146th Street growing up. And I remember my parents being involved in those parks.
A lot of people were involved.
Yeah, those parks. But that was always actually, what was supposed to be there was boats. Yeah, Kleinberg. Yeah. Shout out to David Kleinberg, and his father. So yeah, they were actually supposed to be boat docks there, believe it or not. Yeah. I don't know how that would work, but that was supposed to be on a canal.
There's a difference between vision and delusion.
Yeah, I know that was delusion. But I remember playing in that park even before it was a park. I was like, 7 or 8 years old. Anyway, let's about trees.
But no, there's one more thing we got to go, because this is a good part. You want to talk about wandering and everything else, and talking about where the actions don't match the talk. Go back and take a look at now what's fully in your hands. I worked very hard at getting the area that some of the neighbors have called the woods, right across from Perrine Elementary.
Oh, those are the ones that we're not taking care of.
Go back and look at the interlocal agreement that was signed, the time frames that were put in on that, and go back and see. I think we ought to do a remote show from there, walk people through and see where that's become nothing more than a seed source of noxious vines and
yeah, no, we were supposed to take care of that. We released it for $1.
Really, the bottom line is, I think it was just done to buy votes for people around there. I think they said, Flynn wants to put homes in. Yeah,
not gonna be BS. But it was Dade County.
When all my intention the whole time was take it over.
Wasn't it? That was Dade County, right? What, it was Dade County.
Dade County was going to sell that
Land.
surplus,
and
which
we
meant it would go to developers. It would go to developers, and then you'd see some homes on it. And that's what's consistent with the area there. It's all homes around there.
okay. Wait, I want to look at emails because
Okay, let's see what we got.
So Jill, I'm sorry, Jill.
Jill
my eyes are
Steinberg.
real big.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
Look at
Let's
it.
talk about
Jill.
sidewalks
Why are
on
you stirring up
136th
controversy
Street.
with
Well, we do want to talk about that, and I want to not only and
it's
picture
a
152nd
sidewalk. I'm
Street
glad you called it a sidewalk.
It's a landing. It's not actually not a sidewalk. It's a landing pad for airplanes, 10 foot. So I think I have a picture of all the trees are cutting. They're planning on cutting down.
Well, Jill, are you ready for 152
Okay,
to
so-
look like
okay, so
136th Street?
That's one picture. So all these, if you go around 152nd Street, you have all these mature oak trees that by the way, first of all, all those two, the village of Palmetto Bay has cut down more trees in the last year than the last 20 years that we've been
Why do you think
incorporated.
the village went out and bought a chipper? Which, by the way, if you're a tree, is not as happy as
Yeah,
that sounds.
it's not chipper. but all joking aside, the village of Palmetto Bay is doing nothing. And what are we? The village of trees and village of parks or whatever?
We're the
They're doing-
village of lawns. I guess we don't want any more native.
Yeah. We are killing
native drought tolerant land.
We are
want-
absolutely destroying every single tree in the village of Palmetto Bay. If they kill them on purpose or they cut them down, but they're all going bye-bye.
Well,
I mean,
they
it's
wouldn't be cutting them
unbelievable.
down if money grew on them. Of
Yeah,
course,
there
money
you go.
may not grow on trees, but our health and the environment.
But if you look at all those trees, and they're mature trees, okay, and everybody wants to plant more trees, and the village of Palmetto Bay has decided to remove more trees. It's
or
really,
at least they're not stepping in and protecting them. Now, again,
Yeah.
it gets back to the same thing with 136th Street. I know that Councilwoman Marsha Matson asked at one point for and I think you did too,
yeah.
wanted to see the landscaping plan for 136th Street. And you know what? When you don't follow up on it, the county did what they wanted to do, which was put more trees on Pinecrest side and put
Yeah.
a few trees there. You take down a 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old tree and put up what's basically could be best described as a parking lot landscaping tree. There's just
Listen,
they're
the
not
fact of the
comparable.
matter is, Village Palmetto Bay was celebrating Earth Day when actually they shouldn't have been allowed to celebrate at all, because they really don't care about the environment
It's
with
a
what
dog
they're
and
doing.
pony show. It's
Yeah.
bread and circuses.
I mean,
And
it's a good
constantly
PR firm.
distract, but it gets back to people love driving down Old Cutler Road with all the trees. It shades it. 136th Street. You're never going to see those trees in our lifetime grow back to what was
No.
cut down. Now they want to put the multi-path down 152. They're really fighting that for that.
Listen,
And-
if you go by some of the councilmen's homes, you'll understand why they don't like trees, because there are no trees in their yards. It's just grass. I mean, some of the houses are really embarrassing if you drive by them.
Well, and
for the
again,
council.
getting back to the Palmetto Bay Village Center, remember when I left office in 2010, what did they want to do with that land in 2014? The mayor herself at the time, Mayor Stanzik, sponsored a zoning item, a change item, to put 41 units and a fire station in those 22
Mhm.
acres. Now, the worst part is, you say, well, it's 41 units, it's not 85. Well, when did we ever have a developer come before us and get a full entitlement to what their rights were? We always found a way
Yeah.
to cut them down,
To
or
negotiate.
work with them.
Absolutely. Well, that's
So
the same thing.
They were never going to get 85
But that was the same
units.
thing.
They
That
were
was the
never gonna
same.
get 85
Wait.
units.
That's the same thing with Palmetto Bay Village Center. I had them down to 380. I'm going to take a guesstimate, somewhere around 385 units. And we probably could have gotten them down a little bit more while I was in office. Now they're seeking around 500 units. They're talking about having a Publix there, which will be terrible for traffic. And they've slapped Palmetto Bay with a $40 million lawsuit. Which, by the way, once again, I got to keep saying this because I want people to understand. Right now, we're not even close to start a litigation, and we've already spent $750,000, okay, in attorney's fees per the community newspaper, per an article that was written about 3 weeks ago. So if you get a chance, okay, and I hate advertising for the community newspapers, but I will this one time, go grab the old article by the community newspapers and read what they said about what's going on in Palmetto Bay in litigation.
Well, again, it comes down to just a lot of different elements go in there. When you look at the total cost of something, money is one thing, what they actually put out and paid for that. But you've got to look at two. What about staff time? How many times has Luxcom been for hearing? Okay, how many times wasn't there a hearing or at least a some sort of council meeting where Attorney Della Gloria brought forward a proposal for different units, and I don't think he would have brought it forward if he didn't think he had the support of the council.
No, and they did something. They did
him
something,
over
and
the coals
and
for
they
that
went.
one,
And what was
didn't they?
worse? What was worse? And I'll give Del Gloria the benefit right here. He went to each council member and talked to them individually to see what they would accept and what they didn't. And then he shows up, okay, at the council meeting, and they act like he's never talked. He never talked to them.
So that's
And it
why
was a
I don't
complete surprise.
necessarily always blame staff on this, because they're running around with their pants on fire all the time, trying to get things done and move things and follow the law. And then I think another example was, I fought hard to get the county to pay for that traffic circle at 174 and 87th Avenue. That's part of the reason we have the bridge today, by the way, folks. Palmetto Bay reneged on the deal. And I believe the current mayor even bragged about, she was the one responsible for getting the funding for that. Well, where was she advocating for that funding to be applied to that traffic circle when they all denied the traffic circle?
So let's go back to something. Do you think if the traffic circle was there, the bridge would not have gone through?
The county, and from my insiders and people, the county decided they had to be the adult. Remember, this bridge has always been political. It's never been legal. But
answer the question: if they had agreed to the traffic circle and weren't screwing around with this with the council, would we have gotten a bridge?
We would not have a bridge going at this time. I can say it with all certainty, because we would be waiting for the traffic circle
to see what the effects were,
and the
which could piss off District 3, but
the traffic circles on Old Cutler Road. Because remember, if the traffic circles worked on Old Cutler Road, then you have traffic flowing more. You don't have people trying to avoid Cutler Road and taking all the circuitous
we were
cut-throughs
promised.
in the
Yeah,
village.
but we were promised a lot of things. Palmetto Bay was promised a lot of things by the county.
They were supposed to start in 2019, including the light rail system.
Correct. Wait. On Old, let's just talk about Old Cutler for a second. On Old Cutler Road, we were promised a lot of things, and then Palmetto Bay kind of started screwing with the county, and the county pulled back.
Well, let's face it, Palmetto Bay is not a sovereign nation. We have to work with it. Why I said it's always been politics and working with it. We spent a lot of money with Marlin Engineering, which was a very good investment, because again, we want our roads throughout. I don't think anybody disagrees. We want the roads in our village to be local roads.
Correct.
We want the heavy traffic to be where it belongs, which is on Old Cutler Road and on Useless One. But even then, what's funny now, it's actually faster to go back and forth on US 1 than through the village. And the answer is not just opening up every road. I mean, I grew up on 87th Avenue, and I keep telling that story. The county told my parents that back up in their two-lane road in front of them would go when they four-laned it. Well, you know what? It's backed up now.
Listen, you know me, I'd like to see 5 bridges.
Well, I think that's the only fair way, and I've also been told that the 77th Avenue Bridge is in play.
I want to see a bridge go right by Rick Peoples' house.
Well, I think people need to stop the apologizing for people. Stop trying to make everything a conspiracy theory, and start thinking that maybe they need to work. They need to have more town halls. They need to involve people. They really need to do what they need to do, because the lack of follow through on things like the traffic circle. My question is going to be too, I looked at those plans for Old Cutler Road. Where are those turbo lanes that was supposed to be
they're not going in.
That was an indispensable part.
Absolutely.
Of moving that traffic. But so what does that mean when the turbo lanes don't go in? That's going to reduce the efficiency of those renovations, and it's going to force 77th Avenue. So where's Palmetto Bay been for fighting for those turbo lanes?
But you don't understand, Palmetto Bay does not get the present mayor and the present council do not get along, number one, with our district commissioner, okay? And number two, with the county. All she's done and all they've done is rub Dade County the wrong way. You're not going to get anything from Dade County if you continually rub them the wrong way, start fights. I mean, I don't know if you watched it or not. They were insulting to
Alice Bravo.
Alice Bravo, when she came to talk to people. I mean, they've been insulting. I think the village attorney was insulting and actually I think he actually had to apologize for his behavior, or somebody told him he needed to apologize for his behavior, because they want to sit there. This is not just Palmetto Bay. Palmetto Bay is within Dade County, and you have to learn how to get along with other governments. That's why
Cutler Bay's eating our lunch right now.
Cutler Bay doesn't get along with Palmetto Bay. That's why Pinecrest doesn't get along with Palmetto Bay. We are like, Palmetto Bay has turned into its own little island to the death of the destruction and death of the village Palmetto Bay residents.
Because you have a few people that are behind the scenes manipulating things, and they won't let the government work. They won't let our staff work. They won't let to do things. But going back to this, we did at one time have a great relationship with Miami-Dade County. Through the great relationship is how we got that Lanthalata. They could have easily surplused it and made a lot of money on that. They, on Thalata, on Ludovici Park, on, we worked with them around on Deering and different things. There are things they did and they didn't do with Deering. They made modifications to Deering Point that were very good for Palmetto Bay residents. We wouldn't have gotten the land at 168th Street that maybe one day we're going to lose, except for the fact that it's under
because
the
we're
radar.
not maintaining it.
Under the radar.
Wait. We have
going back to Palmetto Bay Park.
Yeah.
That was a 5-acre park when I came in office. And we negotiated with then Commissioner Katie Sorensen, and for $700,000, we got a lot of extra acreage. We ended up with 17 more acres. We're up to about 20 now, 19, 20
minus the road.
Well, yeah, minus the road. And, and the dirty little secret was we built that park out over the right of way. We actually expanded more than we could, which is, which my intention on that was build out. It creates and it kind of worked out the way I thought it would. When you build out the road, you don't dedicate the road and make it a 2-lane, or you don't put a road in at all. You got more parkland. And when you spread out there, it creates expectations. And of course, when they went and did the road, everybody blew up on it. And it was justifiably so. That was the whole intention on that. Protect that land by letting our kids play on it, or us playing on it. But, Palmetto Bay Park, if it weren't just for the county, we not only got that land from them at a greatly reduced price, we got impact fees to pay for it. We got all our impact fees from the county for Coral Reef Park. We had a great partnership going on Sadowski. We fought to make sure they didn't close. I know some people in the area aren't happy about it. We fought to make sure they wouldn't close the neighborhood trash transfer station. Can you imagine if we didn't have that there? So we've had a great relationship with the county. They worked with us and have allowed us, if we want to take streets and reduce them down to 25 miles an hour. That came in toward the end of my last term, but they don't seem to be acting on it. And if they would, that would make things a lot different from the golf carts out there, by the way.
Yeah. So let's talk about 136th Street and 152nd. Let's talk about what their plans are and how they're planning. I mean,
that's something. What is the plan versus what are you going to actually see? Because remember, when we were holding public meetings, and the meetings that were held at the Howard Drive Cafetorium, love that word. That was supposed to be conventional bike lanes.
Yeah.
A lot of landscaping, and trying to be a win-win. And then afterwards, without any real public input until it was a done deal, the first public meeting on that was held by Daniela at Village Hall, I think 2 weeks before the final plans are drawn. So you don't draw plans in 2 weeks, David, and you can tell your readers that. So it was basically presenting the done deal. It wasn't, hey, what's your input? What would you like to see here? If not that. So we saw what we got, a disjointed, it's cobbled together. There's areas where you and I have been out there, pinches from 8 feet. I think it's almost 12 feet in one area.
Well, there's some,
then it drops to 5 feet.
Wait, there's a spot there where there's literally utility poles in the middle of the sidewalk. You can't get around the utility poles. It's ridiculous.
Here's the best part. They narrowed down, and best part, I mean, I'm
being sarcastic. Thank you.
Yeah. When you head eastbound on 136th Street, you'll see there's a sign, and you think it's a bike lane.
Yeah.
It says beginning. and there's a picture of a bike. Well, it's not a designated bike lane under Florida law, because under Florida law, it's not a designated bike lane if it's a multi-use path, okay? A designated bike lane is not designed for joggers. You don't see joggers going down bike lanes. You don't see walkers. You don't see strollers. But you've got an 8-foot section here it starts, and then you've got a curbed road, which has been lane dieted down. So now you're going to have bikes still going down that, which is because they're entitled, and quite frankly, it's more safe for a cyclist and anybody traveling at speed. But if you go there, that sign is like at 85th Avenue, right in front of Tuscany. Well, what do you got between Tuscany and US 1? You've got a shopping center with those several cuts there.
Yeah.
It's basically a sidewalk. It's no longer a bike lane. So what you have in essence,
listen, it was
have in essence, I've got to just take a breath before I say, it is not connected.
Yeah.
It is not connected to the US 1 bus lane. Don't even call it a transit way anymore, because it's a bus lane. Well, the BRT. So you're expected to now go along this path, go across all these driveways, and start going on this sidewalk by the back entrance of where the haircut and the UPS store is, and then the other entrance that gets you in the French Bistro, one of the best restaurants in Palmetto Bay.
Oh, I like that. I like that restaurant.
Checkers, which is probably more your speed.
Yeah, you know, the fries are anyway.
Ale
I
House.
think Sadim, you eat at Checkers, right?
Ale House, where Ale House, where you can find Patrick.
Yeah.
And
asking somebody to pay his bill.
And then you get to the corner where you've got to wait on this blind corner there with the landscaping to then cross US 1. There's nothing. It's like
a puzzle with puzzle pieces missing.
The TPO claims that this is connectivity.
Okay, but how are we? They're playing. Okay, but they're planning on.
It's like building a fence for all your animals, but not putting a gate there.
They're planning on building the same crap on 152nd Street, which, by the way, 152nd Street has more trees than 136th Street ever did.
A historic coral rock wall.
Okay, so they're going to rip up 152nd Street. They're going to kill all the trees on there for a sidewalk that doesn't work for cyclists. Is that? I mean, if you throw the picture up again, you can see all the trees that are coming down.
Well,
they're going to sit there and destroy 152nd Street. And the fact of the matter, what's the homeowners association over there?
Oh, Acre?
No, the other one. The one that's
I haven't heard a peep out of Acre on this thing.
No. The
They're
one
not going to come out until they come out to support Karen. It's a group of two.
Okay. No, the other, it's on the.
Well, how about the Publix Park she wanted to do?
Yeah, wait, stop. The homeowners association that is on the north side of 152nd Street. Manglewood, thank you. Okay, it took me a second.
That was a little farther.
So Manglewood, you haven't heard anything from Manglewood. I mean, you think that Manglewood, okay, the residents of Manglewood would be going crazy at the fact that they're planning on cutting down all these beautiful trees that have been there for years and years and years, and putting a 10-foot sidewalk on 152nd Street.
Well, I didn't pay enough attention at the council meeting on the agenda. There was an item relating back to the 80th Avenue bike lanes. It was something that's always been on our master plan that we completed in 2009, just before I left off 2010. And then when I came back into office in beginning, for all effective purposes, 2015, we started to actually implement, because nothing was done on it from 2010 through 2014. And we started with bike lanes on 82nd Avenue, which were funded, and we got the grant for. That's a $1 million TAP grant we've got. So I know that item was on. Do you know what happened there? Did they approve, or are they going to do a multi-path down Manglewood down 82nd Avenue? What's happening there?
I don't know. They were supposed to years ago.
Where's Jill?
Wait, Jill had one other comment that we read.
Jill, where's your foxes?
Where's us about how this bridge would go right behind her house?
I'm very familiar with where her house is, and there are a lot of foxes in that used to be area. Those I'm a little bit at fault for that, because we cleaned out a lot of the jungle that was there, because there was a lot of invasives and everything growing there at one point. But I'm kind of curious, again, what the final plans are going to be for that area.
No, but and even if they had final plans, they wouldn't release them, because they don't. There's no transparency in the village. There's none. That's why they want me the air. That's why one of the council members is doing his most, okay, to get me to make threats to me to get me off the air because they don't want the truth coming out about what's going on in the village of Palmetto Bay.
Well, I do
Which,
want to say
by the way, this program is not always about the village of Palmetto Bay. Anybody's watching it. Next week, it's going to be on what's going on nationally.
Well, I want my airtime to do my cycling stuff.
You can have your
But getting
airtime.
back to that, it's just a real shame.
I mean, they hide that they hide. They are continuing to hide the truth from residents, and continuing once again to put out PR and making everything seem like it's, lovey-dovey. Let me take a picture with this person. Let me take a picture with this person. Let me give a proclamation to this person. And on top of that, if you go to the council meetings, you have one council member up there a new council member who's just so rude to the residents. I can't believe she got elected. I mean, even
The comments I've gotten is the way she's treated Marcia.
well, not only the way she treated Marcia, but who's a fellow council member. And even though you don't agree with a fellow council member, you still have to give them some respect because they were still elected, right? I don't agree with Marcia 90% of the time.
How much do we agree?
But probably about 50%. I sure as hell was never rude to Marcia. Okay. I may have blown up once and Marcia was taken aback, but it wasn't about Marcia. It was about what was being discussed, So the fact of the matter is you got 5 people that are just, that if you're not on the mayor's good side, you're out.
Well, unfortunately, the purpose of a representative democracy is you're supposed to air different viewpoints.
That's right. And if you don't, you're a communism.
And they don't want to air them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll threaten you. They'll try to shut you down. And it's like they should welcome their government. Part of signing on for the job. How much crap did I take from you before you ran for office?
Well, you deserved it.
Term. Yeah, well,
you deserve it.
You're right. I deserved bringing you all these balanced budgets.
No, there was one thing. No, the only time I gave you a hard time, and I'll admit it, I gave everybody a hard time, is when they passed a new zoning for downtown. Okay, which I didn't agree with because it was a bunch of apartments. And then what's worse is they come back and the 4,000 apartments that were, or 3,500 apartments that were originally supposed to be there, they come back and pass something that puts 6,000 apartments down there. And I'm like, what are you doing to Palmetto Bay? You're destroying Palmetto Bay. You're destroying the vision of downtown.
This is part of the false message, the false narrative they put out. Oh, Flynn approved, 5,600
and none of that's true.
Well, but here's the truth. Everybody now in Pinecrest is all in an uproar over what's being constructed. Anybody that's been here longer, I don't know, Jill, if you remember Poe's Rentals over there near downtown Dadeland area, that building got like a Play Store. Let's go rent this.
They rent
to go
something.
do that.
Even if you didn't need it, you still rented it.
Yeah, you go,
you
play with
it.
it. Whether
It's like going into, it's like I can't get in and out of Depot in less than an hour and a half.
Yeah,
because I like walking down the
it's a
aisle.
great store.
Yeah.
It's a great place to go. But putting up a building there, and that's not the new rapid transit zone. That is existing county code. And all those buildings could have been in the downtown area of Palmetto Bay had I not greatly reduced the density. There could have been over 17,000 residential units. Do they say, hey, Flynn knocked it down from 17 or 23,000 down to 5,600? No, but then again, when we're negotiating with Palmer Trinity, I remember. No, I'm not even going to go with that.
That's not even. I just will say one thing about apartments. Wait till the residents find out that they're putting low income housing apartments downtown.
Some of the developers would back on that. The nice plans they were going to do is not going to be what.
I know they were supposed to be really, really nice
with a lot of
amenities and with a lot of commercial. And what they're putting in now are basically what I would say stripped down. What did somebody describe it as? I don't particularly like this term, but stripped down, walk up Hialeah type apartments.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that term because it's a little derogatory.
That was used in the campaign against Ed as well.
Yeah, but basically that's what the council just approved. So wait till the residents find out what was promised, okay, and was approved when I was in office, and then what they're going to get now because they rechanged the zoning. Okay. And that's going to be a big issue.
Well, the biggest
and they've
issue,
kept it. And by the way, they've kept it secret once again.
Well, what they've really kept secret, the dirty little secret is, remember, I had put in place, and people like Joan Lindsay fought hard after I left office to preserve that the hardship variance procedure that a lot of developers don't like. And the short thing on that is, if you can build the code, it only allows you to build the code. Some people can't because their property is a bit odd. The hardship variance allows you to build what otherwise you could put on there if you weren't suffering a hardship due to the shape of the property or something like that. But it came in right after Cunningham took over. It was in April, I think, of 2019. They passed a new variance format, which basically they can say they reduced the code, the height down by code, but what they're not telling you is now by variance, they can go back to that specific property. Oh, it's just for that property. It's just for that property.
If Joan Lindsay lived in Palmetto Bay, and I didn't get along with Joan Lindsay at all. Honestly,
she gave me some nice.
I did not.
Some nice. She gave me some nice orchids over there. I've got.
I dislike Joan Lindsay intensely, just because of Palmer and Trinity. But I got to tell you something. If Joan Lindsay lives in Palmetto Bay right now, she'd be having a heart attack. What they're approving. She'd be having a complete coronary on what this crew is approving, because she would have had none of it. I mean, she didn't even want Palmetto Trinity to expand. Can you imagine if she found out about 6,000 apartments in Palmetto Bay? She'd be
no retail or anything.
With no retail or anything else, she would have an absolute.
Where's the entertainment value that was going to come to Palmetto Bay?
Yeah,
it's going to Southland Mall.
That's right. She would have a complete coronary. Okay, so we got a couple minutes left. We got what do we got?
Come on, Jill. Left? Yeah, let me see. I'm having trouble any day.
Yeah, I need better glasses.
So Jill, replying to her previous comment, she says, no foxes, no raccoons, but we have peacocks. And Jill Steinberg also said, yes, I think that was during our conversation earlier about.
Well, now they passed a law that you can actually remove peacocks, right? Dade County, didn't they pass a law? They passed a new law about peacocks that you can remove them.
I like the sound of peacocks when they're on other people's property.
I don't think the sound of peacocks is the issue. I actually think the fact that they go on roofs and they crap everywhere, I think that's what the problem is with people. Look, I have two. I think that's the problem. I have two. I have a blue and a yellow, or blue and a gold macaw, and a African gray in my house, and they're so noisy. So I can understand why people don't like the sound of peacocks, but I don't think it's the sound and the noise they make. I really think that I think it's the fact that
we got some great macaws flying around the neighborhood. I heard them again today.
Oh, no, they're always in my yard.
Yeah,
beautiful birds are always the loudest, most annoying ones.
Well, you can hear it. Some of the like
that's just not birds that could be fine.
Really, you're a little young, but when you get older, you'll figure out it's something else too. So anyway, it's interesting. So I like birds. I don't like cleaning up the bird poop, but I happen to like birds. I think they're gorgeous and pretty, and I love them when they come into my
our whole yard is set up to be very good for the birds in terms of, I got some American beauty bush with some of the last stuff I put in because they love the berries and everything there. I've got both the shelter, I've got things for them to food, areas for them to nest. We've got owls. Actually, I don't see the owls a lot, but I can hear them.
Owls about.
I can hear them. The songbirds are great.
Well, you've seen the bats in my yard.
Blue jays. I've got videos of bats, and they're on my blog. People should go see them. It's a wonderful thing. I mean,
I think they're gone now, but
it's a shame. That's a shame. But going back to it, that just you see those blue jays ounce for ounce has probably got to. Can you imagine if those things were like the size of a dog? I wouldn't get near those things. They're some tough birds.
Anyway, we got 2 minutes, so you want to sum it up? What you think? I mean, we got litigation that's going to bankrupt the village. Okay, if we're on the losing arm, or is there losing end of all the litigation?
Well, there's a lot of ways to lose on litigation. Okay, we can win the litigation,
and we can still lose. Correct, because of the attorney's fees.
And think about the so-called tax revenue we're going to get from. Now, I'm not advocating for the development.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, in trying to value engineer all this, generate $1 million in revenue over 10 years through taxes, and we spent $2 million to fight it. That's a long time.
Okay, okay, you're an attorney. Okay, you got two lawsuits, major lawsuits, 40 million and 20 million. What do you think the attorney's fees are going to be? That's going to cost the taxpayers instead of sitting down negotiating.
Those are the kind of fees that take an associate that brings that case in an office and makes them an equity partner.
That's right. So you're talking about. I would assume that we will spend, and I pay a lot of litigation fees, not for me, but but for the business I'm in. I would say that the litigation is going to be over $5 million. Easy.
I don't know. Again, you get back to, you've got what we pay to outside counsel.
Mm-hmm.
What we pay as part of the salary to our in-house attorney. Then, you've got staff too. Again, how much do you think we spend in staff time with the fact that the Palmetto Bay Village Center came before this council 3, maybe 4 times where they just kicked it down the road before they denied it. They had to get ready for all those hearings and all the time they spent on that. How about how many times has Luxcom come before the council, both in terms of ordinance time and zoning time, the shade sessions, all that costs money and it takes staff time. And the staff, that's why they have to keep adding staff, because they've got them so busy on goose chases.
Yeah, I'm telling you
they
right
don't
now,
have time to assert their essential functions.
I bet you, and this is my last word, because it's 5 o'clock.
It's not 5.
I bet you, that we pay more per person in litigation fees than any other city or village in the state of Florida.
Get me the documents. Let's break them down. And
Okay.
I'd love to do that.
I have the documents that came in today. I bet you we're sitting there per person we pay more litigation, per person than any place else in
Well, I do want to
state of
thank
Florida.
my good friend Norman Moss, who's volunteered on the bridge lawsuit. I'm sure we're going to get a tremendous value out of him. And as a volunteer, really, he's been doing a lot of work for free. And we've got a lot of other attorneys who are friends with other people who are making a boatload of money on this.
That's right. So it's not what
not always fair,
it's not
though, is
it's not it's not what you know, it's who you know is the way you get hired, right? Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you next week in a different location. I appreciate everybody for joining in. Next week we're going to talk about the councilman who's been threatening my employer, and I'm going to read a couple of emails that he sent, and we'll talk about a couple of other interesting items about the Mayor Cunningham.
Star Trek
Mayor
episode. With we'll get into that some other
and
time.
Thank you very much, and have a great night, and stay
May
safe.
the good news be yours.
And you got it. Bye, everybody.
I think people